Hi everybody! My social action project is to teach free singing lessons for elders at Chateau Pacific, which is a retirement community in Lynnwood, Washington. My social action project will bring music into a retirement community, and that's important because most people who live at Chateau Pacific no longer are able to drive and they're somewhat isolated. So by me bringing music to them, that will give them the opportunity to participate. My project will allow elders to own this experience independent of a caretaker. It will demonstrate that learning and musical improvement can occur at any age. It will help to improve the singer's vocal quality, both their singing and their speaking voice. It will help to relieve stress and improve their mood. And finally, it will decrease the feeling of isolation and anxiety that many elders experience when they move to assisted living facilities or to retirement homes. Many people in assisted living facilities do not drive anymore, as I mentioned before. That means that they have restricted access to goods and services. And I was surprised to learn that after adults lose the ability to drive, that their health declines, their social engagement with others also decreases, and their friendship network shrinks by about half. And this can lead to a feeling of isolation, which can in turn lead to depression and anxiety. Elders experience oppression when their caretakers make decisions for them and do not give them input or choices. Sometimes that comes from the idea that the caretaker knows best, and also sometimes that comes because the caretaker believes that the older person has declined to the point that they can't be trusted to make their own decisions. Oppression can be internalized by the oppressed, and they can begin to believe that they are worthless and incapable and that they have nothing to offer society anymore. Older adults are capable of learning and improving their voices. Every person ages differently. Elders cannot all be lumped into one group and stereotyped and devalued that way. Older adults, as studies have shown, are capable of improving their voices significantly. And even people with some forms of dementia, that dementia appears to spare musical memory specifically, although perhaps in their daily life they may struggle with cognition and memory and vocabulary. And in one case study, a woman who had Alzheimer's disease was able to recognize familiar tunes and also to sing along with familiar tunes with all of the correct words, even though in her daily life she struggled with vocabulary and memory. Loss of control over the speaking voice is an issue among elders, which contributes to a feeling of isolation and anxiety. And I'm hoping that my project will help to strengthen their voice, not just their singing voice, but also their speaking voice. Singing has been proven to improve mood and also to relieve stress. And here's how I plan to do that. So first, I will be meeting with the activities coordinator of Chateau Pacific. I would be advertising for singing lessons by putting an announcement in their weekly bulletin, which is a piece of paper that they print each week to tell them about any upcoming events and also what meals will be served. One of the best places to advertise is in the elevators because everyone uses the elevators. No one lives on the first floor of that building. So they're all riding the elevator most days, and flyers are seen there. I also plan to put an announcement in the slideshow in the lobby. They have a computer screen that shows announcements and also shows photos of recent events, and so that would be a highly visible place to put my announcement. I plan to schedule lessons 2 days a week, the first option being Thursday evenings between 4 and 7:30, and the other option being Sundays between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. I'll be purchasing a cart that would hold my keyboard and the power cord and the pedal, a music binder, pencils, portable speakers, any electronic devices that I might be using, and any other materials. And that would make it easy to go from room to room and up and down the elevator without becoming tired. At the first lesson, the most important thing is that we would get to know each other. I think singing is a really vulnerable activity, and so I find it to be difficult to do that when I don't really know and trust the other person. So we would be talking about our experiences and getting to know each other and getting comfortable with each other before anything else happens. And then second, we would talk about their previous music experience, if they've ever sung or played in a group or taken any lessons, or even perhaps they used to be a professional musician. We would also talk about their goals, and I'd find out the reason that they are deciding to take lessons. That would help me structure the lessons and would give me some idea of what they're hoping to get out of it so that I can structure the lessons in a way that will be most beneficial to their goals. I would also be asking them what it is that they would like to learn. Some people are interested in learning how to read music or about music theory or other things like that. Some people are simply interested in just learning songs so that they can sing them. We'd also be generating a list of songs that they would like to sing in the lessons. I would be using probably my phone and searching up different artists and different songs, and we would help to make the list that way. And then that would help me for the next lesson. I'd be able to find sheet music or to improvise or notate it by listening to the recording and creating it that way. And then finally, at the end of our first lesson, I would like to hear them sing a little bit so that I can identify their strengths and weaknesses, and I can know how to proceed for our first real lesson. So for subsequent lessons, I'm imagining them being structured this way. So I'd have my little cart, and I would knock on their door, and we would greet each other. We would chat a little bit and maybe catch up on what they had done the previous week. I think that social piece is really important for this social action project, not just the singing part. I would then set up my keyboard. I would pull out any of the other materials that we're going to use. And then we would dive into a vocal warm-up and technique exercises that I think would benefit them and help them to get the most out of their voice. We would spend the next part of a lesson working on the repertoire that they chose. And finally, at the end, we would wrap up and confirm the next lesson, the date and the time, whatever works best for them. Possible end goals of the singing lessons include singing together with other friends or family members. Perhaps they're interested in making a recording, either a video or just an audio recording of what they learned. Some of them might be interested in performing in public, or perhaps performing at a worship service, maybe as a soloist, or maybe in a small group or in a choir. Some of them might be taking these lessons just to improve their vocal quality, either their singing or their speaking voice. And then finally, some people might just be doing this to have fun, to connect with another person, and maybe they don't have any goals outside of that, and that is perfectly fine. As for the intended social transformation, I'm hoping that they will experience some musical and vocal improvement and learning. I'm also hoping that this experience will help them to feel empowered and will give them a sense of control over their life, where in other areas they may feel like they don't have that sense of control. I'm also hoping it will be a stress reliever and will help to improve their mood, that it could reduce anxiety and or depression, And also, importantly, that it's an opportunity for them to interact with other people and feel connected and not as isolated. They would be interacting with me as the teacher at each of their lessons. We would be chatting at the beginning and the end and sort of building that relationship that way. They also would have the option to take lessons with another person. So this could be their opportunity every week to have a friend or a relative come over and to work with them for a little bit. And they might use the skills that they learn in their lessons to take that knowledge and that experience elsewhere and sing with others, such as a church service or a birthday party or something like that. And also, I'm hoping that they will improve the quality of their singing and their speaking voice, which can really impact their lives every day. Designing this project has caused me to think about the future many years down the road when I'm older and less independent. It's hard to think about a time when I'm not going to be able to do all the things I can do right now and make all my own decisions and go where I want to go when I want to go there. And then especially as a singer, it's hard to imagine not having the voice that I have right now and not being able to use that in the way that I can use that now. It's also caused me to think about my grandma towards the end of her life and consider how she might have felt as she aged, and she was less mobile and wasn't able to drive and didn't have the outlet of going to work every day and talking to the people in the office. So I think about how I might feel if I were in her circumstances later down the road, and then also how my circumstances might be different from hers and how I might be able to do things differently during my life that will improve my quality of life later down the road. When this project is enacted, my perspective might change as I meet other people who are in a different situation than my grandma was and then other elders in my family were. And also I found that every teaching experience that I have, no matter who the student is, I always end up reflecting and putting myself in the student's shoes. In doing the reading for this project, I gained a greater understanding of the struggles that older adults face as they age. And because I'm relatively young, I have not had to be the caretaker for an older person, and so I think I have a little less knowledge of what that really entails. I was surprised to learn that there's a threefold increased risk of clinical depression after the age of 65. That's a much higher number than I would have assumed. Also, older adults who don't drive have poorer health. That was surprising to learn, just the extent of that. And that the aging voice causes such a big disruption to many people's lives and really decreases their quality of life. When this project is enacted, I'm definitely going to get to know individuals on a personal level, and I'll get to see their improvement and see them have success and enjoy themselves, and I hope that this will be a bright light in their lives. This project provides many opportunities for elders to make their own choices and be in charge of their own learning and their own schedules. It acknowledges that everyone is unique and has different needs and goals. And the instruction will be tailored to the needs and wants of the client. So here are my resources. And I look forward to hearing your feedback.